Rangers fans barely had time to catch their breath this weekend before yet another twist unfolded at IBROX. A dramatic late winner against Livingston should have been the moment to galvanize a struggling squad and give Russell Martin a bit of breathing room. Instead, the roar of celebration barely had time to echo through the away end before it was drowned out by jeers and chants demanding change in the dugout. And now, things have taken an even more intriguing turn with former Premier League manager Sean Dyche making headlines for a revealing statement that's got everyone talking. Let's rewind to the weekend. 8 minutes of stoppage time on the board, the score locked at 1 apiece, and the pressure on Russell Martin growing heavier with every passing second. Enter Max Erenss. In the 94th minute, he popped up at the back post and smashed home a goal that brought a much-needed 3 points to the Light Blues. Relief? Maybe for a second. But if anyone thought that dramatic strike would silence the doubts around the manager's future, they were quickly proven wrong. The same fans who exploded in joy were almost immediately back to voicing their frustration, their chants now louder than ever. The message was clear. One win, no matter how late or thrilling, is not enough to paper over the cracks. Ollie McCoist, club legend and lifelong fan, summed up the whirlwind of emotions perfectly. Watching the match from a pub in London with his family, McCoist described the moment Erenss scored as pure chaos. Everyone around him had their eyes glued to the Arsenal versus Newcastle game, but when Rangers scored, he leapt from his seat, letting out a roar that startled the entire pub. That, he said, is what a last-minute winner does to you. It hits different. It's pure emotion. And yet, even in that moment of joy, the reality of Rangers' situation remains impossible to ignore. Because this wasn't just a typical early-season fixture. This was supposed to be the match where Martin's side showed some real signs of turning the corner. Instead, what the fans saw was a team that still looks shaky, still lacks identity, and still hasn't delivered a convincing 90-minute performance. And when you're in charge of a club like Rangers, one that breathes expectation and demands results, anything less than dominance simply doesn't cut it. That brings us to the big revelation that's added fuel to an already raging fire. Out of nowhere, Sean Dyche has made it known that he's open to returning to management, but only if the timing is right. Now, in isolation, that might not sound like a big deal. Managers are always being linked to jobs, especially high-profile ones. But this wasn't just a casual remark. Dyche made it clear that he's not actively chasing a job, but if the right opportunity comes along, he'd be ready to listen. And with Rangers clearly in a moment of uncertainty, the timing of his comments could not be more explosive. Let's not forget, Dyche is no small name in the footballing world. A veteran of the English Premier League, he's got the reputation of someone who builds tough, organized teams, capable of grinding out results. He's not flashy, but he gets the job done. That kind of grit, that kind of leadership, is exactly what many believe is missing from the current Rangers side. It's no surprise, then, that names like Ollie McCoist have already mentioned him as a serious candidate if Martin ends up getting the sack. And let's be honest, the pressure on Martin isn't easing up anytime soon. 1 win in 5 matches is simply not acceptable for a club of Rangers' stature. They currently sit in a position on the table that would be unthinkable just a few seasons ago. The standards at IBROX are sky-high, and anything less than challenging for the title is seen as failure. Every misstep, every dropped point, is another crack in the foundation of Martin's tenure. And when the fans are turning, history tells us that it's usually just a matter of time before the board follows suit. Even voices outside the Rangers bubble are beginning to question how long Martin can hold on. Former Manchester United scout Mick Brown didn't hold back when discussing the situation. He pointed to the win against Livingston not as a turning point, but as a warning sign. The fact that Rangers had to scrape through with a last-gasp goal against a side they should be beating comfortably, that, according to Brown, is evidence of a team in trouble. And when a club of this size starts looking like it's just limping along, the calls for change become deafening. Max Erenss, for his part, will hope that his moment of heroics has bought him some goodwill with the supporters. His start to life in Glasgow has been far from smooth. An early red card in a brutal 6-0 loss in Europe had already turned the spotlight on him, and many were questioning whether he had what it takes to wear the shirt. But football is funny like that. One goal, especially one as dramatic as his at the weekend, can be a reset button. In his post-match comments, Erenss was honest. He knows he let the team down with that sending off. He knows expectations are sky high at Rangers. And he knows that one goal won't fix everything. But he also spoke about character, about the importance of showing resilience, and about using this as a springboard to better performances. There's no doubt he's got the pedigree. Over 200 appearances for Norwich, a spell in Spain with Valencia, and a reputation as one of the most promising fullbacks in England just a few seasons ago. The talent is there. But as many players have discovered, pulling on the Rangers jersey is about more than just ability. It's about mentality. It's about handling the weight of expectation week in, week out. And Erenss seems to understand that now. The question is whether the team as a whole can do the same. Because while the win over Livingston does get some pressure off their backs, it also highlights the deeper problems still bubbling under the surface. There were moments in the match where Rangers looked sharp, where they showed glimpses of the quality fans are desperate to see. But for every promising passage of play, there were just as many where they looked flat, disjointed, unsure of themselves. It's this inconsistency that has the fans so concerned. One week it's hope, the next it's frustration. And that cycle has to stop if the club wants to achieve anything this season. Even Erenss mentioned the surreal experience of playing in front of such a massive traveling support. At Livingston, 3 of the 4 stands were packed with Rangers fans. It felt more like a home game. That level of backing is rare. It's intense, and it comes with responsibility. Players are expected to give everything, not just technically, but emotionally. The fans live for this club, and when they don't see that same commitment on the pitch, they let you know. Russell Martin might have escaped the weekend with a win, but no one inside the club will be fooled into thinking the storm has passed. The calls for a change in leadership are not going away. And with someone like Dyche openly speaking about his availability, the heat just got turned up another notch. What happens next will be crucial. The Rangers board is facing a decision that could define the rest of their season. Stick with Martin and hope he can turn things around, or make the bold move now and bring in someone with a proven track record, someone who could command respect instantly and shake things up? One thing is certain, time is not on their side. For all the drama swirling around the manager's chair at IBROX, perhaps the most telling moment of the weekend wasn't on the pitch, it was in the stands. As Max Aaron's winner hit the back of the net and the Rangers bench erupted in celebration, the away support quickly flipped the mood. Chants calling for Russell Martin's departure weren't just background noise. They were front and center. And that's the atmosphere the current squad is walking into every single match day. A support desperate for success, but just as quick to express their discontent when things don't look right. And you can hardly blame them. This is not a club built for mediocrity. When you walk through the doors at IBROX, you carry a legacy of greatness, titles, European nights, legends etched into history. The standard is not just high, it's unforgiving. So when a team starts the season the way Rangers have, when the football lacks identity and the results don't follow, it's no surprise that pressure piles on fast. And the problem for Martin is that this doesn't feel like just a slow start anymore. It feels like a trend. 15 games into his tenure, and the numbers speak loud. Only 5 wins. One of the weakest attacking records in the top half. A back line that still looks vulnerable against even the most modest opposition. It's not just the results. It's the way the team is playing. There's a lack of structure, a lack of fight at times, and most of all, a lack of belief. And at a club where every point dropped feels like a crisis, that becomes a toxic combination. Even when they do win, as they did on Sunday, it's not convincing. It's scrappy. It's last gasp. It's not the kind of football that builds momentum or trust. And that's where the fan frustration is boiling over. Because it's not just about this one match. It's about the accumulation. The sense that, under Martin, Rangers are not heading in a direction the supporters can believe in. That's why the mention of Dyche has hit such a nerve. Because love it or hate it, the idea of Dyche in the dugout at IBROX paints a very different picture. This is a man known for building teams that fight, that scrap, that know how to dig in and grind out results. He's got a spine. And if there's one thing Rangers look like they're missing right now, it's that sort of backbone. A clear identity and a leadership figure who doesn't flinch under pressure. Dyche's comments on the Call Yourself a Fan podcast weren't made with any grand gesture, but their timing couldn't have been more powerful. He admitted he's in no rush, that he's watching from the outside, enjoying the calm before the next chapter. But he also left the door wide open. If the timing is right, if the club wants him, he's there for a conversation. That's the kind of subtle green light that gets fans, and more importantly, decision-makers, thinking. And the decision-makers at Rangers will have plenty to think about. The ownership group, including the American investment firm 49ers Enterprises, have so far stood by Martin publicly. But behind closed doors, it's hard to imagine the discussions aren't already happening. They'll be looking at the atmosphere in the stadiums, the social media sentiment, the results, and asking themselves one big question: is this sustainable? Because right now, it doesn't feel like it is. Not when chants for the manager's exit are happening during a win. Not when the only thing separating a mid-table struggle and a complete disaster is one lucky strike in injury time. And not when players are openly talking about needing to redeem themselves just a few weeks into the season. That's where Max Erenss comes back into focus. His arrival was supposed to mark a new chapter, Martin's first signing, a statement that this was a project with vision. A fullback with over 200 games in England, international experience, and a move to Valencia on his CV. It was supposed to show ambition. But the reality has been rougher. That red card in Europe was a moment that shattered early optimism. It wasn't just a poor performance. It was symbolic of a wider problem. A team not ready for the level they claimed to be aiming for. Erenss spoke after the win with the kind of honesty you don't always get from players. He knows he hasn't lived up to expectations. He knows the fans aren't fully behind him yet. And he also knows the way to earn that trust is through performances, not words. But what stood out in his comments was the recognition of what it means to be at this club. He talked about the pressure, the noise, the scale of the support. Coming to an away ground and seeing 3 of the 4 stands filled with blue. That's not normal. That's not something you get at most clubs. It's something special. But with that comes the responsibility to perform. And it's that dynamic, the weight of expectation, that seems to be crushing this team at times. They show flashes, no doubt. Some of the build-up play on Sunday had promise. There were moments where you could see what they might be, if things clicked. But 90 minutes of control? That's still missing. And until they find that, every match feels like a toss-up. Every game is a risk. David Martindale's Livingston nearly made Rangers pay. For long stretches of that game, they looked the more composed side. They had chances. They looked like they believed they could win. That's the most damning part. Teams aren't afraid of coming up against Rangers anymore. The fear factor is gone. And that, more than anything, reflects on the man in the technical area. Martin may be trying to implement a long-term vision. He may believe in a style of play that needs time to bed in. But the truth is, time is not a luxury he has. Not here. Not at this club. Fans want results now. They want purpose, identity, fight. And when they don't see it, they won't sit quietly. That's just the reality of managing in Glasgow. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a whisper going round the pubs and closes of Glasgow, the kind of murmur that catches like smoke on a still night. Billy Gilmour, the lad once tipped as the crown jewel of the Rangers Academy, is said to be making his way back to IBROX. It's a tale that has supporters raising eyebrows and leaning in closer, for the thought of Gilmour in blue again stirs memories of what might have been and dreams of what still could be. The story goes that the young Scot, hardened by his time down south and seasoned with Premier League fire, has returned not as the slight teenager who left, but as a player of stature, composure, and command. Those who've watched him lately speak of a midfielder who dictates the rhythm of the match with a calm that belies his years, a player who's not afraid to demand the ball when the pressure is heaviest. And now, if the rumors are to be believed, he's doing it all in front of the Copeland Road stand, with the roar of the IBROX faithful at his back. It's said that in training he's already caught the eye, sliding passes between defenders with the precision of a scalpel, barking orders at veterans and youngsters alike. There's chatter that the dressing room has taken to him instantly, respecting the journey he's been on and the fight he's brought back. Some even whisper that he looks destined not just to wear the shirt again, but to lead from the heart of the pitch, as though he'd never left. The fans, of course, are divided in the way only football fans can be. Some worry the weight of expectation may yet be too heavy, that the return of a prodigal son carries too much romance and not enough pragmatism. Others, though, are already dreaming of the kind of control in midfield that could tilt the balance in Rangers' favor in a title race that never leaves room for error. Whatever the truth of it, one thing is certain. The buzz has returned to Govan. The notion of Billy Gilmour back in royal blue, orchestrating the play, has set tongues wagging and imaginations racing. It might be gossip, it might be fact, but for now it's the story everyone's telling. And at IBROX, sometimes the whispers are just loud enough to become reality. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.